republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And we are back. Once again, we are tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I don't think I just said so, but it is a Sunday afternoon, and temperatures are changing. It's getting nice. It's getting just enjoyable outside. And I'm not here by myself today. Today we have Magnum. Magnum showed up to kind of step in, and we got a lot of different stuff to talk about, mostly one main topic, which we will get to later on. But you showed up. Whenever you show up, we have to do a little bit of shooting. Well, let's say you do have to do a little bit of shooting before we start these things.
Always. I'll be out there riding shotgun. It's like having cocaine addiction.
Yeah. Well, then let's talk about this though. I mean, what we did is we ran the qual. We'll call it the Patriot Defense qual, right, for the elite group that I mentioned last week on the podcast. I think I started talking about that a little bit. And what do you think? You think it's pretty challenging? I mean, it's basic stuff, but difficulty wise, what do you think?
I think the challenge is right there, and especially as I learned today with a red dot. I'm always Ricky Bobby, want to go fast, and that red dot really makes you go fast and do stupid stuff.
Yeah, it'll tempt you into going too fast.
It certainly does. And you don't realize how much time you have left on that. So, really slowing it down, going fast where you need to, and slowing it down where it's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, that qual I think is, it was actually a little more challenging than the FBI qual we did.
Yeah.
And that one, I think I did better.
Yeah. Well, and so everything we do on this is we're drawing from what? Concealment. Then like the FBI qual, most of that stuff was low ready.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't understand it. Why should my qual be tougher? I know that they learn lots of other things and do lots of stuff. I'm not saying that, but their qual should be a little bit tougher than mine, I would think.
You would hope so, but I mean, their track record is shoot first and ask questions later. So
that's true. Yeah, I just kind of spray and pray.
Yeah, or deny that they were there and all.
Yeah. So here's the thing with this qual, and I think you just touched on it. It's timed. You have 3 shots or 4 shots or 5 shots or whatever it is, sometimes with a mag change. And I think the time is fair. They give you plenty of time to do each thing that they ask. But as soon as I pull that timer out and you hear that thing go beep, it messes with your nerves, and people move too fast. We've had a one gentleman, every guy who wants to try gets 2 times to try and pass this qualification. It doesn't change. They just get 2 times. They see what they do, and if they don't pass, they get one more chance. They can practice, come back. But that is the key feature. That's what everyone's doing is they'll make most of the shots, and then they'll pull a shot out. And then when they do that, or they'll pull 2 shots out. And then when they do that, I go, well, that's 2 shots out, but your time, you still had half the time remaining.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's going too fast, and people don't understand how. I mean, you tell someone they got 4 seconds to fire 3 rounds. I mean, unless you're back at like 100 yards, that's a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And as it's playing out, it feels like you're way slower than you currently are. And
right.
You're done shooting. You go, it was 2:01. You're like, what?
Yeah. So I mean, so it starts out close, like 5. It's like 3 yards. Then we go to. I don't have the paper in front of me. 5 and then 7 and I think 15 and then 25. That's what it does. So that first one is 3 rounds, 3 seconds from the draw, one-handed. And so that's not horribly difficult. But if someone's going to draw and fire, what do you think their time should be from draw to first fire to make that time work?
I think a solid.
I want to see if it's the same as I'm thinking.
I would say a good solid 2.5.
That's kind of what I was.
To that first round.
Yeah.
I mean, train to go faster at some point, but a good starting point is that 2.5. even at 2 seconds, because then your splits after that, just to stay inside of 3, only have to be quarter-second splits.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got good solid control on that, you're okay. One-handed, I would say at least second and a half.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need that recovery time.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. It'll be interesting as the guys filter in and do this. I know the first guy to attempt it, he was only out by a couple. So he's coming back actually, I believe tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I think. And we'll see. He's going to be pissed if he doesn't. He's at home. I guarantee. I talked to his son yesterday, and he's at home practicing. He borrowed my Mantis. He's going to work on his draws. He said he's going to stand in his garage, and that's literally what he was going to do for the next week.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I passed it, but not in the way that I want to.
You're right.
And
well,
I know that I'm gonna take another crack at it after I slow myself down, because we got my my Rocket Ricky Bobby Go Fast 2011 with my super duper giant window red dot.
Yeah.
And I was pulling shots that I shouldn't have pulled, and just to figure out what I could do or not, I pull out the bare bones M1911A1 with the dinky little sights they had in World War I.
45, yeah.
45 ACP, and I shot better in the same amount of time at distance. Now, I probably would have slowed everything else down, and I think it did on that first ones, those 3 and 3s. I had slower times, but I was still within the margin of error.
And I think it's because those little tiny sights that just look like they're freaking carved out of that slide, right? They'd force you to go slower.
Yeah. Yeah, put you right back in the fundamentals and hold it steady instead of glowing stop sign in the middle of the target, bang on the trigger.
Yeah. So red dots are good. They have their place, but you also got to know that you got to slow it down a little bit.
For sure.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the rest of the guys. None of them may want to do it now, since they know I'm going to talk about all their performances on the podcast.
Performance anxiety. They got a pill for that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. So we had a big class. Actually, you've been here a few times. Well, you've been with me a lot this summer helping with stuff, and I do appreciate that. But we went through all the women's stuff. We had the women's like self-defense, open hand combat type classes. And I still have the bruise to prove it, which today when I went and rode my bike, I smacked that bruise with the pedal on the bike. That felt wonderful.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, I was about ready to cry right there in the trail.
You don't have those cool little shoes that lock into the pedals?
No, dude, no. I got all the running stuff, this whole biking. So this is what I did, folks, and anyone wants to know. I went and ran this morning, and I've been struggling with some shin splints and some different things. I thought, well, I've got this mountain bike. I'm going to go up on the canyon rim on a smooth trail, right, paved. I'm just going to ride on it, right? Just get my cardio up, all that stuff. Bikers and runners, mortal enemies. Like, it's complete opposite. I felt like I was betraying my people today.
Yeah, but you've been doing that a lot this last 2 weeks.
Shut your mouth.
Because you just blended 1911 and 9mm.
I went with a 2011, and I feel good stating that it's a 2011 and not a 1911.
It's the same operating system.
It is a 2011, and it's yet to jam.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to run into that issue with these guys.
I really don't. I love the freaking platypus, dude. I absolutely love it. But I'm a bit on the envious, jealous side, because I started with one. Yeah.
And you've got that awesome prickle grip. Plus, they did some updates to the slide.
Bull barrel.
Oh, the bull barrel. It is. I mean, mine is cool, and it recovers a little faster than yours.
Well, yours is ported too.
Yeah, I've got porting in it. And of course, if I want to tweak the springs, I can run it even flatter. But that prickle grip and the way that thing is set, man, that is nice. I almost put mine on the market to sell it, and I was like, I'm going to go get one of these, and I'm just going to keep what I got, because it's not a primary care for me anyways. Right. It's one of those fun guns, and I've got Glocks, or per se, quote unquote Glocks, so the magazines fit everything else. Mm-hmm. And it's just for fun.
Yeah. But I mean, I love the gun. I'm not going to sit here and profess my love for this gun again, because I dedicated a whole 15-minute podcast to that. So
that was a good podcast, man. I listened to that.
Yeah, you're like, it sounds like you just opened your presents.
Yeah, he's unwrapping Christmas unwrapping Christmas presents. Kind of like your little jammies on, kicking your feet. What's this?
As much as that thing cost me, that was like 3 Christmases.
Oh, no doubt.
That's the way I look at that. But What'd you think of the ladies in the women's defense class? I mean,
they were actually pretty awesome. We had that second class, like everybody volunteered and jump in, and usually we get 3 or 4 out of the class that are willing to jump in. But the first class, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of good questions.
Oh
I was super good questions. Some opportunities to maybe help out the community a little bit more if we can get a couple of them back in here. They had some other individuals that want to get involved in that, so that'd be great.
Yeah,
that second class was fun, man. They all wanted to beat the snot out of you. It was great. I've
had at least one, and I think she's talking. Maybe there's a few more that are talking about it. Actually, sign up for the bigger class, the bigger self-defense class that we do, where we talk about weapons and knives, Kubitons, all that kind of stuff. In fact, that reminds me, I got to order Kubitons today. But so we've got that coming up in November, and we're getting people to sign up for that, which that's a fun class. I mean, I know it's I'm like, oh god, they're gonna shoot me with Sims rounds, but that's kind of fun. Like, that puts more real into it.
That puts a smile on my face when I shot you.
And so I will say, I was kind of flashing back to that moment in that last class where they did that. We need to do it outside because we broke the frame one time, and that's fine. It's just I don't really care about that. Like, that was an old certificate that was expired anyway. But then we turned around, and I just realized we did it toward my TV.
Yeah.
That's not very brilliant on my part. I think we need to go outside for that one. Remind me during the class if I try to do it inside. Say no, we're not doing this inside. Talk.
Yeah, we'll take it out.
I can't. I don't want to put a bullet through my
There's gonna be
800 a Sims round, not a bullet. A Sims round through my $800 TV.
Well, it'll be November. We're gonna have to do it earlier in the day
or something.
We're just gonna be out there with flashlights.
Oh yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We always seem to change all the classes up every time we do one. You know what I'm saying? Just we kind of like fine tune and see what's happening. But might actually be some younger kids in that class. I know I got some people that have talked about bringing their 16-year-olds. Even one kid all the way down to like 12-year-old. I said, well, I don't know if she'll be able to use the Sims round portion of it, but if you want to bring her, there's a lot of good things I think she can learn.
Yeah, for sure.
You agree? So
I do.
I should have checked with you first.
And it is actually a lot of the stuff was designed around that age group from 12 to 17, 12 to 16 years old.
Right.
And they honestly have a lot of physical advantages at that point because they're more flexible. They have abilities to get in more advantageous positions for defense.
Right.
So, it's not like a bunch of us old creaky people rolling around and our bones creaking and, stuff's not working that way. So you got to adapt to overcome, but you can teach it and they can operate it as it was meant to be used.
Yeah, no. So it'll be good. We'll see who signs up for it. I'm kind of pushing it, and we'll see what happens. I like that class. It's a different class. It's a fun class. So, let's talk about yesterday's permit class. Pretty good group of. We always say that, but I mean, they're all good. I mean, we always enjoy the class, but we had a pretty decent group of shooters yesterday. Really,
we did. I had 2 on my end, and I thought it was the greatest thing I heard. There were a couple folks down from him commenting on how well they were shooting.
Yeah. And
he's like, well, I just listened to what they said in class.
Oh, perfect.
And guy was shooting your favorite caliber, the 40, in one of my least favorite guns.
It was a Glock, wasn't it?
No, it was an XD.
Oh, it was an XD.
With the label grip zone, so you know where to grab the gun.
Oh.
It was like Gen 2.
It wasn't even, yeah, okay.
Yeah, not even cool. But
he was nailing with it.
He did great with that thing. It was awesome. The young lady that he brought with him, I don't know if it was a girlfriend or wife.
Oh, that was the tall...
The runners at the end.
Yeah, and that was his wife.
That was his wife, yeah.
Yeah.
She brought, I think it was his mother's Gen 5 Glock 19.
Okay.
And I thought for sure I was going to be, I'm going to have to be training her on this trigger the whole time. And her first group was fist size, and then she started narrowing it down to $50. And I was like, okay, well, let's touch on a couple of things, and I'm just going to leave you alone and let her shoot. But I give them opportunity to shoot some of my Gucci stuff, and by the end of it, it probably drained his wallet.
Yeah, and that's the funnest part. I mean, that's a fun part of the class for us, right?
Yeah.
Here we get about halfway. Here, try shooting. You want to try shooting this? Like, we don't mind people shooting our guns, and it's kind of fun. I tell everyone if someone offers to let you shoot their gun, and you have the ammo for it, or says here's 5-6 rounds, shoot this. Do it. If you haven't shot it before, do it. Shoot other people's guns, man.
Well, and from a trainer's perspective too, right? that couple's fairly new to it.
Yeah.
And they go walking in and they go, hey, you know, I heard about this gun or I heard about that gun. His wife gets the Glock 19 and then he shot the Glock 19. He's like, this is ridiculous. It's a square.
No, yeah.
And he went back to shooting his 40, which he was doing great with.
So here's what's funny. He compared the square Glock to the square XD.
Yeah, and the square XD was nicer. So they both hated the trigger on it and the whole bit, but it was, you know, they get that chance to shoot something different other than what they have and maybe start them down to a better path, you know, where they find something that they can shoot better or it's more economical or, you know, they're not just going off of FUD lore when they get to the gun counter.
Right, you know? Right. So, no, it was an enjoyable class. The weather was absolutely perfect.
That was nice. Not too many flies.
The range is still almost, with the way the sun is now, granted we're going to have a time change pretty quick. But the range is almost like in the shade.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is nice.
Wind's blowing the wrong way though.
Oh,
I got that dust at the end of it.
I'm not sure. The problem is I don't even know if it was blowing because it just kind of hung there, and that's a problem. That's what happens when we haven't gotten any rain for a while. We get some moisture into that. We get some snow sit on it for about 2 months.
Yeah. You have a mud pit in the bottom,
which is coming. So, big news. If you don't follow me on Facebook, you don't know my bougie gun journey, which I've had. My first bougie gun I've had for quite a little while now, and I just started carrying it. So I've moved on. I've actually taken the VP9, which I love so much, and I put it in this holster, and I placed it back in the far corner of the safe for a little while, and I'm now carrying the P30, which, I'll be honest, it's an easier carry.
Yeah.
Like, it is an easier carry. I'm like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Like, this thing's way more comfy. And I don't know. I've kind of been enjoying carrying that thing around and got a new holster for it. And eventually, maybe in about 5 years, I'll start carrying the platypus. It takes me that long to carry a gun.
And we'll get you into the rotation.
Yeah. Something like
yours
that.
have to be a little more elongated, like 6-8 months with one and then 6-8 months with the next.
That's exactly what I'm going to have to do.
I mean, you're not going to be undergunned with that P30 by any means. I mean, a Langdon Tactical P30, one, there's not a whole lot of them out there.
No.
Two, P30, I think when I first had mine out here, I was expressing how much disappointment I had that I had spent multiple $1,000s on handguns that were, I mean, they're one hole accurate.
Yeah.
And I bought the P30, which is, you know, fantastic plastic, and it is one hole accurate. So I was just like, wow, that was a lot of money for this ultimate in accuracy. And like the P30 it wasn't ridiculously expensive. I put a little more money in it. Obviously I did the gray guns trigger and upgrades and stuff, but it wasn't quite as good as the Langdon version.
Yeah.
And Langdon's definitely a little bit smoother, and they know a whole lot more about it than I do. So, but yeah, no, that's a great gun.
I mean, I need to put more rounds to the platypus, but I also need to put way more rounds to that P30 because that has been entirely undershot. And you know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to go shoot that thing.
Well, with the popularity of the platypus going up and the P30 just kind of floating there in limbo land, that might be one you shoot and just save because, you know, if it ever runs out of style or they just don't decide to make it, you got that limited run gun from Langdon.
That's true. And I'll be honest, that gun looks brand new. Yeah.
I mean, you got money sitting in the bank where the platypus is, it's on the beginning of its journey. They're not going to stop. I mean, they're going to start, they'll come out with the new calibers. They've already got new designs.
It's crazy. Is it crazy that I just spent a lot of money on that gun and I'm like thinking about actually, because I ended up buying this one off the website and I'm actually thinking about placing a custom order for one and just going, just crazy on the colors.
I call it a business expense.
Yeah, well, yeah, it will be. I'll have to wait and maybe do it next year. If you
wait till next year, see what kind of innovations they're going to come out.
Well, yeah,
I mean, they might have something that they may come out and I actually sent them an email. I'm like, hey, when are you guys going to do these in like Glock 19 size? Right, so you get that. You know, we would call it a CCO or a custom officer. So you get 4 1/4 sliding frame or sliding barrel, and then you get the officer size frame, but then you can run G19 mags, you know, in that platypus, and then you would have.
But that'd affect the grip size.
It would.
And right now,
for you, it wouldn't be good.
My hand
for others,
walks in there so perfect.
Yeah. But if you go to like that G19 size, right, you start spreading your buying market out to those folks who like the Glock 19.
So let's talk about this for a minute. I give so much crap to you about people about 1911s, and then I bought a 2011, right? And so I bought
technically it's a double stack 1911.
So I bought the it's a 2011. So I bought the platypus. You can't convince me otherwise. I bought the platypus, right? So it's like I got a little bit of both worlds, right? One I didn't really like, but maybe it's good now. And then you are Mr. And I am too. I hate Glocks. Now we're talking. They need to bring one out the size of a G19.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening here?
Well, you took the best of both worlds.
We're evolving.
We are. My obsession with not liking Glocks is not so much the Glock itself; it's the fanboys that come along with it.
Oh, it's crazy.
But the Glock design, pretty ingenious for what it is. We were talking a little bit about presentation out of the holster and overdriving your gun, and if you look at that really horrible grip angle, it's ripe for over presentation to put your sights right where you want it to.
But the platypus is kind of that grip angle now.
No, it's exact 1911.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's just
But Glock and 1911 are pretty close, aren't they?
They are. I
haven't compared them.
Well, this was always the funny part because guys will get back and forth at it. But if you go to the original M1911 is flat backed, right? So that's where you get your natural point of aim 1911ish. When they came out and they redesigned it to the M1911A1 and they put that hump in the mainspring, now it's the same angle as a Glock is. So and the reason they did that is because the guys were overdriving the sight and the gun would always present with nose down, and they put that little hump in the back, brings it up to natural point of aim when you're going really fast.
Yeah.
And so I do notice it between my customs and that, clunky T-sauce I was just shooting out there.
Yeah.
The T-sauce, it should not recoil the way that it does in comparison to my high-end customs, but it's as smooth and more controllable with less work than my high-end customs with the flatbacks are. It just is, and I think it has to do with that grip angle, even though I hate it. And
I'm not a big fan of your T-sauce. It was a nice gun. It's not for me. I really like my Richard, though.
That one is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
And Richard. We'll just leave it. We'll just call it Richard. You guys, if you don't understand that, you need to either go back and listen to past podcasts, or you need to just go peruse the social media page for a little while.
Yep, catch up. Yeah.
So, kind of the meat of the conversation here. Something I kind of pose this whole topic to you, question to you, what your thoughts were, because I got plenty of my own. Is the 22 caliber, and it's not that it's. I want to talk about I do want to talk to caliber about 22 pistols. So they did a really cool thing, a while back, and it's been a handful of years, right? But typically when I first started doing this, when they bring a 22 handgun to class, it was those like Target. What's some of the names of them? The
Ruger Mark III.
Yeah, those. Yeah,
Buck Marks.
They're the Target ones. They're like the Target. I want to shoot a rabbit type. Something your granddad would have, right?
Yep.
You imagine some guy carrying around who's wearing flannel. I mean, that's kind of the way I envision those, right? And then from there, they started coming out. I want to say, I don't know who was the first one to bring out almost like a 22 in like a defensive style gun. If it was,
it's going to be the Ruger or the Walther.
What about the Mosquito? Where did it fall?
The Mosquitoes, I believe, came in after like the SR25s were some of the first ones out.
Okay, yeah.
And that was from Ruger, closely followed by Walther, and Walther did it better, of course. The Mosquitoes were more of replica, like 80% replica guns of stuff that was already popular. I mean, GSG was putting their stuff out, and then I think it was SIG that jumped into them first.
Right.
You know, but you've had a plethora of different 22s. I mean, you got uppers for Kimber 1911s.
Well, sure. I remember when that was a big deal. Change this out, put a 22 barrel in. Like,
yeah.
That was a big deal. Buy a Glock and you can go ahead and do this and you can shoot 22 ammo out of it. Like it was a thing, right?
Yeah.
AR-15 22s.
Oh, yeah. And those are still a thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. You don't hear about them quite as much, but they are. But anyhow, I want to talk about 22 handguns, right? They have their place. Now, you know, there's a couple, there's one that's out that I absolutely love. And I talk about it all the time. It's the TX22.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic handgun. It's a fantastic 22. That runs. The other ones in the past tend to have a lot of issues.
Yeah, especially after they get dirty. I mean,
yeah.
For my kids, one of the first ones I bought was the Ruger Mark IV.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was a 2245, they call it.
Yeah. I remember.
And it's phenomenal pistol, really accurate. You get about 50 rounds through it, and she didn't want to run anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, he went and bought the TX22 because he wanted one. It was dirt cheap, and I don't know how many rounds we put that thing, and it still hasn't choked. And I don't think he's ever cleaned it.
I ran mine for like 5 years before I had to clean it.
Yeah, I think I was the first one to put oil in it just to make it work.
Mine was so bad that when I did clean it, I'm pushing chunks of lead out of the barrel. Like that's how much I shot. And that's not just me shooting it. That's like in every single class, someone's shooting it.
Yeah, because somebody would inevitably bring
I couldn't get
25 or
I couldn't
like
get the rod to go through the barrel. Like when I cleaned it, like it was a thing, right? I don't recommend you do that. That's just for me because I'm a dumbass. Well, just that's where I am. But so as I start seeing a lot of those come to class, right? And I understand when we have permit classes, people do what? They have to fire 100 rounds. Ammo prices are high. I don't want to, so I'm going to bring my 22 pistol. That's allowed. They can do that, right? And then that's what they do. But when we have some of these other classes, people show up and they're like, I want to learn how to shoot defensively. Not just learn the fundamentals. I want to learn how to shoot defensively. That's in my brain, depending on how far in they want to get in their training, that's where it starts to pose a problem. I do want to say, though, that I'm always a big proponent of shoot. You know, a 22 is better than a stick. Okay,
for sure,
a 22 can take a life. It can harm somebody. I don't want to get shot with a 22, right?
Yeah.
And it is. I like to tell everyone, shoot the largest caliber that you can comfortably shoot, that you can accurately shoot, that you can shoot proficiently. Proficiently, that's the key, I think.
Yeah.
Proficiently. And if that's a 22, I guess that's a 22. But if you're going to carry a 22, if you're going to shoot a 22, in my mind, it better be because you have some kind of, if you're going to continually shoot it and learn defensively, it's because you can't shoot anything else because maybe you got your strength impaired or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I tend to see and what's starting to irritate me a little bit is I see a lot of people, and I'm not against 22s. I got 2 of them. They have their place, but I see people that are starting to really train with them. And it's like, man, you need a better caliber because it gets to a point where the way I look at it, maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. That's why you're here. So I'm not just saying I'm right, is 22 ammo is only, especially out of a handgun, right? I know you have match grade 22 rifles and match grade 22 ammo. I got a buddy of mine that does some really amazing stuff with stuff like that. But when you're looking at a pistol, people are just buying the cheapest ammo they can buy. You're probably not running match grade ammo through those pistols. And I want to say that a person can get to a point where they are better than the gun as far as a 22 pistol. Like they need to move on and the gun won't let them. If you look at it, I watch these people shoot and they're pretty accurate. And they'll shoot that with the 22, which are super easy to shoot. They'll get everything right. They're stacking some shots and then they'll get a couple, 2 or 3 that just out of nowhere they're not doing any good with, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I know that people mess things up all the time. We see it. But I want to say it's more the ammo than them. I want to say there's too many inconsistencies in the ammo as far as it's not, you're not going to be able to totally stack a bunch of shots like you could, let's say, a 9mm or 45 or even a 40 cal, and I hate that caliber. And then when you get someone running and gunning and running courses and they have these 22 pistols, like that pistol's holding them back. They could be getting so much better. And doing like mag change on like a TX-22 under pressure. Come on.
Yeah, no, plastic mags, no weight.
Yeah, there's no weight.
A lot of friction on the mag.
There's no recoil. And honestly, I think when they're going, it makes them go faster, which makes them wholly sloppier. And they're not paying attention. They're just this like ting, 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 like a little pea shooter. And they're not accurate. I don't even know how to explain it. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It like holds them back. I'm like, get a center fire. The rim fires have their place, but probably not defensively, unless that's absolutely the only gun you can shoot because you got strength issues, hand issues, something like that.
Well, I think the industries have come up with solid solutions to that. I mean, but honestly, you know, I think you were talking about how it's holding folks back, and I don't know if we're on the same page on how it holds them back, but I would think of, you know, trigger press and sight alignment are the two biggest keys, right? To shooting accurately. And they play a major role into shooting defensively accurately. Mm-hmm. But shooting at speed, if you're starving yourself of recoil control, you're starving yourself of getting proper sight alignment or being able to make those combat effective hits at speed when you're only shooting 22.
That's exactly how I think it holds. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People need to learn more, and there's time to learn more, and they can shoot rather. But that's where the 22 and that pistol, the 22 pistol, holds people back. It's like they get to a point where they're better than that. They need to be better than that. I know they can learn these things, but they keep showing up with the 22.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so it's like they're going through the motions, but they're not
learning it.
They're not progressing. Into that, like that level of, you know, it's like going to the gym, right? You can go in there and you can do 20 reps of 5 pounds, but if that's all you do every workout, you can do that 20 reps of 5 pounds, and then you throw 20 more pounds on there and you can't do 5.
Yeah.
You know, so they're being held back. I mean, they look good, they feel good running that 22, they're having a blast, and I think that's part of the fun.
That is.
If you're serious into this and into being defensive, step into a defensive caliber. Even I'm not a proponent of the 380. I think it's very limited, but it's better, like I said, better than rocks, and it's way better than a 22. With the options that are available out to you, the Easy, the Equalizer, you know, those guns were designed to suck up that recoil, to be able to be used by folks that have less grip strength in their hands. And when you get to the Equalizer, you know, it picks up that capacity need that you need. And it makes it more effective for those folks. So I think, I mean, unless there is something really severe, you know, I mean, and you can have severe arthritic issues and that.
Well, sure, yeah, I get that.
That might...
I'm not picking on those people.
No, not at all, not at all. But I think if you can progress, you have the duty to progress.
Yeah, especially if you're going to carry on your person. You owe it to yourself and others around you.
For sure.
I mean, you just do. You know, and I'm still a proponent for those that need it. So I want to say that, like, you have like the Equalizer and you have the EZ, right? And those are still niche market guns. In my mind, those are still niche market guns. And what they were engineered for, and why they were brought to market, right? Strength issues, new shooters, that kind of thing. I am actually, what probably brought this whole 22 thing up is I'm seeing ladies in my classes that take the year-long class, you know, the academies, and they start with an Easy, and that's fine. And toward the end of class, or even halfway through the class, they're like, I kind of outgrew this gun. And you can do that with 22s, but with the EZs, they're like, I kind of outgrew this EZ. Like, I don't need this stuff on it.
Yeah.
And they move into like a 365 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then they find that this is so much better. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot better. The trigger's not too bad on the EZ. It's not perfect, but it's not horrible. The one thing on the EZ, I think they really effed up on the EZ was that stupid grip safety. Like,
they put it on upside down.
They put it on upside down, and it causes a lot of problems. And I don't know if that was some kind of like infringement on some design or what. I thought they would fix that. I
think that gun could have done without that design piece in there at all.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah, I mean, they had that version with a manual thumb safety. You have everybody and their brothers got the Glock or the M&P, which rely on a hinge trigger system.
Yeah.
Which honestly, the Easy has the same thing. So the grip safety thing in the back, I mean, unless there's something about it I don't know, maybe it's part of the recoil control in it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either.
But that was a really poor way to design that gun.
But at least flip it upside down. Flip it back. No, it is upside down. Flip it back.
Yeah, put it back where it's supposed to be.
Because you know how many times people have shot that and all of a sudden and then they go to bam, and anyhow, it's a whole thing.
Well, even think about the ergonomics of where your hand grips that gun, right?
Yeah.
Where all that meat in your drumstick should be driving forward like that pair of pliers. So you can apply that trigger straight to the rear.
It lets up on the freaking safety.
Yeah, you're letting up on the safety, and your squeeze where that's most leverage.
Yeah.
Is at the top is where your trigger finger is.
Yeah.
So you're squeezing harder than you need to.
Yeah, it's making it so it's really hard to isolate that trigger finger.
Yep.
And press that trigger nice. But I mean, I didn't want to get off into 3, but I mean that's just an idea of guns and about how they can kind of hold you back, and sometimes you outgrow stuff. So like this, not that anyone's running one of these in our elite group this year. I think I'm going to require everyone to actually run their carry guns, stuff they're going to carry, nothing crazy, and pick a gun and let's dedicate to it. Right. But you know, that it's just, I just lost my whole train of thought. With that class, you know, I talked about comes like this new set of fundamentals, right? What are the basic fundamentals? You know, sight picture, grip, stance, and trigger press. Mm-hmm. So those are your first set of fundamentals.
Yeah.
Once you know that, like in the elite group, for those that make it, there's a whole new set. And one of them, I think I listed them. I'd have to look at them again, but it's like magazine change. It's this, that. Like it's time to solely focus on that stuff now, because this stuff should be solid, or you know to keep going back. You know how to fix that. You kind of perfected that to a certain extent. You can't do that with a TX-22. You just can't. Or a 22 pistol. It's super hard.
And honestly, nor should you. Because, I mean, if you get in your head that you are, you know, functionally prepared with a 9mm or with a 22, right? Nobody wants to get shot with a 22.
Well, no.
But even if you look at the rounds themselves that are available, right? So what would we consider a defensive round in a 22? You got the Stinger, you got the Yellow Jackets, you got Federal Punch, which is a joke and a half, and I think there's some other boutique rounds out there that they specifically designed for self-defense. But when they're shooting them in these ballistic blocks, they're running them out of a 16-inch barreled rifle. Now you're talking a 3-inch barreled semi-automatic pistol that's direct blowback, and you're talking about if anybody that's been shooting long knows that rimfire is not a reliable round.
Well, how many duds
not so much
do
the
we
gun,
have?
but just the round.
Yeah, it's unreliable. They're dirty, right? And how many duds do you see some days?
Quite a few.
A lot.
Quite a few.
Or it doesn't extract, or it doesn't. I mean, I don't want to say the TX-22 does pretty good, but it's not gonna, just having a good gun like the TX, it's not gonna mitigate the dud rounds.
Yeah, no, and then you go into tap rack bang, which you're losing time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's reacquisition of your sights, reacquisition of the target, you know, pull the drag out, push, press, and you're good to go again. But again, we're talking, you know, a significant amount of reduction in velocity out of a 3-inch. Mm-hmm. And you might get to the vitals, or you might make somebody really mad, or you might, you know, just end up with a mutual killing, right? Mm-hmm. You put 20 rounds into them because that was everything in your magazine. And while they didn't go down, they just bled you out slowly with a 3-inch blade.
Right.
You know? So it's, I would rather them have really big holes leaking out of them, or at least severally moderately sized holes, leaking them slowly than, you know, stinging them with the bee stings a bunch.
Yeah, you know, I get it. And some of the people that I see with the 22 can shoot much bigger guns, and they don't. And they need to.
They should.
They should. I think I texted you. It's a big, long text stream when I told you this idea earlier this week. Because I'm so fed up with this. Because I see people that need to progress, and they're not. Yeah. Because of the freaking 20. They're better than the 22. I mean, that's all there is to it. So.
Yeah, it could be a cost thing too. It could be
but come on.
I think maybe some of them individuals, they're a confidence thing. You know, hey, I'm not shooting as well as I did with this. You know.
They need to give it a chance, though, and they're going to find out the triggers feel way more solid. They can do more stuff with the gun. You're just stuck with the 22.
Yep. And if it's the pop that gets you, it's the blast that gets you, go get a suppressor.
Oh yeah,
make it fun. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm still considering one of those, but I don't know. It took me years. Anyhow, it'll take me years to buy one of those probably.
I've got a gun with a threaded barrel for a handgun now, and I'm thinking about buying a threaded barrel for another one, just so I can get a suppressor for a handgun. I was going to do the 22 one, but I was like, it's kind of a waste of money. I would rather just put it on something bigger, I can run a 9mm, and I don't plan on running any of my 45s very much anymore because the ammo cost is ridiculous.
I know. That's when I almost bought that 45, that Glock from you. And I told you I went and I picked up a box out of ammo and went, I could buy 3 boxes of 9mm for this. I'm not doing this.
I love that 45 round. I mean, just when you launch them out of that tube, you feel the difference in kinetic energy. We shoot steel with it. I mean, I've broken 2 steel plates of yours with it.
It's got a bigger whack.
It's a hell of a whack, and it's just fun to shoot. It's like shooting a 44 Magnum, right?
Yeah.
It's fun, and it has a purpose, but it is ridiculously expensive. And because I like a particular platform, that one was always in 45, but
always
I've got a very similar, if not identical, platform in my EDCX9 and my SFX9, and the Platypus that are just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So, right, 17 to 33 rounds, I might as well just let them off.
Oh, yeah. And it's way cheaper.
Let them off the chain.
Yeah.
Well, cheaper relatively because I buy way more ammo now because I shoot a lot more ammo now.
You shoot a lot more, yeah. So we're coming into winter now, and I like to always encourage people. I mean, we're not snowed in yet by any means, but people like to get, I say, a little lazy, right? And they don't want to go out and shoot in the cold and the this and the that, and now's your time. Dry fire is your friend. Practice that draw. Get some kind of training aid. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but except for myself. And I like the Mantis. There's a bunch of different training aids out there. I tell people they got some cool stuff for even your rifles too. If you check it out, I don't have one of those, but they look pretty cool.
I haven't gotten the Mantis yet, and I think we tried it once in the classroom years ago with you. I thought it was a pretty cool tool, but the red dot on the pistol has completely revolutionized the way I dry fire.
Well, what happens when people use the Mantis, honestly, is it gives it kind of a gaming sensation. Yeah. Like you're gaming, and since I want to say the majority of the country is into gaming of some sort, I never was. Like that fits the bill. They like to look at the phone and see what they're scoring. And, and as an instructor, it can be a helpful tool for certain people. But I don't know.
I was at the point where I was going to buy that shot timer.
Yes.
So I could go out and run my own times. And I spent a lot of time practicing my one-handed draws and my draws just recently to go out to this qual because I know I was having some hitches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'd practice and practice and practice and work out all the little niche details that I was forgetting just trying to go fast. It was like, make sure your garment is clear and did you get a proper grip coming off that thing? And today, I mean, I haven't been on timer forever, and I'm drawing in my house. I'm like, damn, that's slow. Damn, the sight's not getting where I want it to right away, or I'm overdriving and all this stuff. Today, it all comes together on the clock, and all of that dry practice of getting things right and that slowing it down. And I think you saw this too, is I had way more time than I needed, but I was still trying to go so fast that I pulled shots.
Oh, you did. Well, you shot one. One almost missed the target.
Oh, yeah, I know. And that was a close range. Yeah, that was terrible.
That was low.
Yeah, and I that was a screwed up grip. I felt it coming out, and I made the mistake of getting my finger in that trigger guard too quickly.
Yeah.
But slowing it down and really making those hits, that dry training I did at home, I mean, out here, I felt like I was coming out of the holster fast. I mean, I was, I was on and then slowed it down. At home, it felt slow. And so when I'm on the clock, it's feeling slow. And when you're done, you're like, oh, that was 2 seconds or just under 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You got 3 rounds on there. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You go faster than what you think, right?
Yeah. So that dry fire and the dry practice is,
Oh, and the winter time's coming, man. I sit in here and just watch Netflix when we usually have a week or two where it's just snow after snow after snow after snow. That's all I do. I sit in here. My dogs look at me funny, but I sit in here and just practice dry fire, practice, dry draw, that kind of stuff. And we have a good time, but Well, my wife has actually been trying to get a hold of me, and she's been out of town for 2 days, so I imagine she's on her way home. But she is traveling, and so that makes me feel like I need to make sure her truck is still running, or something like that. So I do appreciate you stopping by, and you're welcome anytime.
Oh, it's always a blast coming.
Yeah, it is lots of fun here in the war room. He's eyeing my stack of ammo. I saw him. So
you don't need this row.
I don't need. Yeah. I had to. That's a lot of weight too. I packed that from the house out here, and I'm like, son of a. But hey, if you listen to this podcast, I do appreciate it. Go ahead and share it with your family, share it with your friends, post it on your social media, whatever you do. And I tell the people in my class this when they're asking about the podcast. I'm like, I don't care if you listen, but hit that subscribe button. That really helps me. Like it just helps. I don't know what it helps yet because I've yet to get paid from doing the podcast.
Ooh, and share it on Facebook. Put on that new the rants in Twin Falls. I mean, everybody's got something to piss and moan about on that.
Oh man,
get it on Facebook rants. That'd be great.
Yeah, someone say, hey, you like podcasts? I listen to this guy, and just post that up, and I'll make sure I don't read the comments because I'm sure that I have.
Hey, we're ranting about 22 today, so
I have a fair share of haters on there, I'm sure. But yeah, go ahead and do it. Everyone have a great week, and James is looking at me, or Magnum is looking at me going, yeah, what are you going to say, Todd? Say it. I know what you're going to say, and it may not be true. I'm going to try to be back in a week with another podcast. So you guys take care. Bye.